Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the FC150 Restomod project. We're going to do two things this episode. Both of them are pretty important. One, we're going to make a new bumper from scratch for the front of the FC with a couple features that I think are going to be helpful to using it. And the second is we're going to be working on the interior. We have two goals. One, to make sure that there's enough room to work on the engine and get in there and change spark plugs or do whatever we have to do. But also there's enough room to sit. And that's going to take some doing. It's going to take some special panel creation, and we're going to also work on the dash, setting up the dash for success. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. So I have a guest helper today, my son-in-law Caleb Jesser. And he's going to be working on this front bumper. So we bought a Jeep front tube bumper for a couple reasons. One, they're very reasonably priced, but also they're lightweight. And we want to really reduce the upfront weight. And so this is a bumper that's going to work out pretty good. I think the original bumper on these things are just too narrow and look kind of feeble. So this is going to be a nice compromise. But it's about 11 inches too short altogether. It doesn't wrap to the edge of the body. So, Caleb, what are you going to do? Tell them what you're going to do here.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut a nice straight line here. And then I'm going to cut out an 11-inch piece, or two 11-inch pieces.
We just happen to have a 3-inch diameter piece of exhaust from that Power Wagon project over there with diesel engine in it. So that's left over. That gets used.
Yeah.
Should be good. Caleb's a good welder, and he's going to make that thing look beautiful.
1 day later.
I finished this bumper, but I did not like the way it looks. Oh. And part of it is, I don't know if you can see that, it doesn't follow the curve of the front of the vehicle, and these ends just kind of abruptly drop off. So I have an idea for a new front bumper. You notice that on all of these FC 150s and 170s, this front part of the body has always got huge dents in it. And I'm going to extend the bumper to come around the bottom down there, and I'm going to get a nice curve to it. So it's okay. I took a stock Jeep tube bumper and extended it, but it was an epic fail. I'm going to redo it.
A few moments later.
These are the parts I'm going to use. I've got some mandrel bend U's for exhaust. And then I've got these big curved pieces that I had bent. I had to use thicker stock, and I gave them my template, and they bent it to it. But they felt like the thin wall wasn't going to bend very well. So now I got a little heavier bumpers on the front than I expected in the beginning. This is a great idea that I had got from my friend Jim Culver. You got the bumpers that are coming around, and there's going to have to be caps on them or something like that. The top one, I want to go ahead and put a light on it, like this. And the bottom one, I'm going to put a step. To do that, first off, I'm going to weld a ring to the circle there, and then from that, I can cut these studs off of the light and screw it, drill holes in and screw it right into the ring. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. First, I'm just going to go ahead and weld that in place. Next, I've got to cut these studs off because I'm going to screw it in from this side. So I've gone ahead and sanded the wells flush, and I've drilled and tapped 2 screws in here, 832 screws, and I've tapped them into that steel. And there it is with the light in place. So that'll be a flasher, a running light, and kind of a nice way to finish off the end of that bumper. Yeah, in the end, I did not like a couple things about the bumper that I'm going to fix. Number one was the light doesn't look finished. So I took a piece of the tubing, split it. That's going to be put around here, and I'm going to solder it with silver solder or brazing so that it you know, finishes off where the light goes. The other thing is it's all open in here, which a lot of these tube cell bumpers are like. The original FC150 bumper was kind of a curve and a flat and a curve. I'm thinking of filling that in. It'll strengthen these two things by tying them together. And so I made this one part right here, which extends all the way to the front over here. So lets air go in for the radiator, and I'm gonna weld that in place. I've jacked it up a little bit here because it was just sloping slightly, and I'm going to tie them all together by welding. There it is, roughed in. You'll see that it's got an opening for airflow in the front for the radiator. Little fillets in there. Where this light is on the bumper, there's a stainless steel ring here, and it's kind of a step up to where the actual bumper is. I want to make a transition there, both for water protection and also just visual. So I've taken a section of this pipe and I sliced it and made it about that thick. That's going to go on right here, right around there. And then what I'm going to do is clamp it and silver solder it. I have to solve a clearance problem. If you can look down here, you can see I'm going to have a hard time clearing the alternator. It looks like more, but it's actually about 3 inches, 3.5 inches above the surface there. And then on the other side, we've got the power steering pump. So my solution is I've cut some pieces like this. They've got a curve, cut them out of rectangular tubing, and those are going to go right on here. That gives me about a 2-inch lift to here. You can see that actually just clears the alternator, and then I'm going to put a 1-inch lift kit in the body, and that way it'll give me plenty of clearance. So I'm going to weld this in, and now this surface here will be where the seat will go, and it's good that it has a little bit of sloping, because I think it's always better for the base of the seat to slope back a little bit. And I'll put another one, when I get the seats, I'll put another one under the rail of the other side. The seat doesn't bolt right to this. What happens is, just like the original FC150, there's a bolt-on piece that goes in and then up for the engine compartment, and I'm going to recreate that as well. So here I am mocking up the front part of the interior cowling. I like to use this tag paper here. It's just thick enough to hold its shape, thin enough to cut real easy with scissors, and I'm piecing it all together. Then I'm going to find out where I could bend it, use it on the brake and bend it, and what parts I can weld together. But that's the beginning of that cowl. And the reason this part on this side, the driver's side, sticks out a little further into the engine bay is I'm going to have to put this shifter onto a solid spot. So I'm allowing for that right there. The other nice thing about making these patterns is you can lay them out on the piece of metal and not only save the metal, but more importantly save the number of cuts, because you line up, that's 2 pieces there, but you line up these cuts so you make 1 cut to do it. Then you can add the tabs, which are going to be bent over for welding it together.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So there's the 2 pieces, actually 3 pieces. There's the 2 ends. They got tabs on them here, and they've been drilled out for plug welding, and then this part's going to go here. The reason this is all getting welded in is because I need a firm platform for the shifter, and this part's going to be solid, the other part's going to lift off. That way the shifter stays in place with the cables, and the cowl comes off to service the engine. Plug welds, tabs, all worked out. So here's the top getting made. Again, a template. I mark on the metal where the tabs go up, because it's easy to forget that. Then I wear these safety goggles and I've been using this just this cordless jigsaw to cut this 16 gauge steel. I usually use a nibbler, but that's for smaller stuff. This is a little thicker. I'm going to do the bending here, and I've got this tool I bought from Woodward Fab. It's actually got a roller, a bender, and a shear. And the roller you could use, and the bender you can use, the brake you can use on stuff up to this thickness, which is 16 gauge. But I don't think the shear, I think the shear is 20 gauge and above. I lined it up, just simply, I marked all of them bend up. That's the key. You don't want to bend it the wrong way. And then you just go all the way, come back, and your tab is bent. It's a good machine. So I'm going to bend and roll the top piece. I've marked on the back where the roll begins and ends, and I've kind of done a test strip. It's kind of trial and error, but we'll see how it works. So you adjust it at the back, but you tighten these things down enough to grip the metal, and it's going to bend it up. So I marked lines where I want to do the bend. I've inserted it in the machine, and now I'm going to do this is my first bend just to make sure. And it's not quite, it's not anywhere near deep enough, but I'll go ahead and adjust it some more. Okay, we'll try that setting. Just keep adjusting it. Just basically line up at the same machine and do the tabs. That's that. For this tab here, I want to bend it here, but I don't want to bend this, so just simply remove one of those plates and it should bend just fine. There it is. Okay, this final one will probably do it, at least close enough so I can flex it into place. I just undo this. Do the top roller. Take it out. So here's the piece set up right here. It's kind of flopping out in the front, but I'm going to plug weld it along here and then bend it down as I go. I think it should work okay. I'm going to use this block of wood right here, and I'm going to push it down, and that'll give me a good spot. Get it flexed all the way down, and I'll continue to weld it. So the goal here with the engine cover is to two things. One, maximize cab space and make access to all critical parts of the engine easy, so it's not hard to change the oil, change a belt, change the plugs, whatever it takes to do. I want to make it easy for myself because I'm going to use this truck. So to do that, there's a lot of strange, like you can see the radiator hose is here. We're up above the alternator, but we've had to make a lot of parts. So like an example of one, so that I can maximize the space inside the cab but still clear that radiator hose. And so this was bent, this part here was bent on that machine that I showed you, and it's actually going to be removable. It's going to be attached to the other side of a longer bent piece like that that will unbolt so I can get all the way in there. Then the back opening that's in the truck that's already there. It's part of the cab. Too hard to change that. But it's a lot higher than what I'm going to need because the engine in the original, 4-cylinder engine in the original FC150 sat up higher. So I'll show you what I'm going to do there. I'm going to use some of the old engine cover and I'm going to slope it down. We're going to come to this height here, which is a lot more reasonable. And it creates a usable flat space inside the cab. So this is the setup for the brake and clutch. I had to, the only place I could put it was right here. I had to build a little tunnel. I'm building a tunnel up high with places to step on both sides. But I bought this from, it's a kit from Speedway Motors. You can adjust and cut the brake arms. It's got the clutch cylinder, it's got a booster, and it's got a master cylinder, and a bracket which I've modified back here. So I've got to put floor in here, right here, just a few inches. This part here got cut out because there was some rust in that area, but this is really solid. And then I'm going to have this wall, so the part's going to be like this. And there'll be a wall and there'll be a bar across here. And I'm going to spot weld these two pieces together. And then I'm going to plug weld them to the upper frame and to the floor. So here's my spot welder. I rarely use it because it only works when you have access, but this is a perfect example of when it can be used. What I've done, I got these two parts that are bent, and I even marked in here because, you know, so often I make it in the wrong way. But anyway, I know where everything goes. I line it all up here. Use the spot welder to clamp it. So you hold it down really tight right there. And that's the spot weld. Put another one in here. Pretty neat. Pretty quick. Spot welders are not that expensive. Saves a bunch of time. Makes a nice neat weld. This is 16 gauge material. So that's the piece spot welded together. Ready to plug weld into position. So then I'm going to put the other side in. Right here I've got this brace. I've got this pre-spot welded and drilled for the plug weld. Kind of a tight fit, but that's what it's going to be like right there.